Sainam aloha. Here I am, 3 days without power, but I showed up. I'm totally doing the 53. And apparently we had 3 feet of rain. There's lots of flooding and catastrophes and lots of excitement on the island, and very much in the Pisces energy here. I can really feel this. And this is when nature comes in and says, hold up, you're not going anywhere. It's time to go within. So I as a projector, I really enjoy that. I take pleasure in that. When the generators and the manifesting generators are forced to go within. And actually, this morning, there was this one guy, because there's this restlessness I can feel with generators and manifesting generators. And he usually zips up and down on his 2-stroke motorcycle. Just really annoying sounds up and down, right? And anyway, it stopped. He stalled right in front of where I live. And I feel like the universe was, or life, universe, the divine or whatever, was showing me. Oh, okay. And he had to turn. He was really, really angry too. And he had to turn back and go back home. So as a projector, I take great joy in that, to watch the generators and manifesting generators stop. Because of this busy. I have to be busy, doing things. Instead of like, come on, it's time to go within, go back home, go within, integrate your shadow, do your work, stop projecting shadow into the external world. So no offense to the MGs and the Gs out there. I'm sure that you're conscious generators and manifesting generators, but you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, I took out a chuckle. I'm still getting a chuckle out of it. Okay, so sound can be a little bit off. Not used to my top of the notch sound because I don't have my my mic or phone. But we'll do our best, right? I'm showing up. This is the 53. I'm just showing up. I'm not perfect, but I'm showing up with a message for everybody. Okay, so so this is about the new moon, but you know, I like to put things into context because we're entering this new 400-year cycle, the Phoenix. So this is about preparing you for this new energy. Okay, so let's do a little recap. So March 11th, Jupiter stations direct in the 39.6, and that was my last video, so you want to watch that if you haven't already. And so what was the theme? This is the gate of provocation, the 39. So the provocation is about waking the spirit up, making the spirit up. Wake it up. Get the paddles on and wake it up. So this provokes the spirit out of numbness, and it was line 6. You see line 6? So this is a role model frequency, meaning the provocation is not about personal drama. It's about a collective awakening pressure that Jupiter put on us as a humanity. So this is where stagnation breaks, suppressed emotions start to surface. You can't push down your emotions any longer. People feel pushed to respond to life again, right? Out of that dullness. It's not comfortable, but it's necessary. So this was an activation phase here. And then March 13th, Mars conjunct the North Node in gate 37. Now, if you're not on my, if you're not subscribed to my channel, you want to do that. And this is where I post, right? I put posts up about these transits. So I put a post up about this one, just so you're in the loop. So this is gate 37, and this is the social contract, our social contract. So this is family, right? Agreements that we make, mutual support, loyalty, agreements. And Mars hitting the North Node, right? Our North Node's the destiny. This is the global transit. Well, this exposes where the contract is broken, where it's not working for you anymore. So typical manifestations would be your loyalty would be tested, right? Family dynamics surfacing, tribal structures cracking, and emotional confrontations with these people that you share these tribal agreements with. So this is where people realize, you know what, these old agreements, they no longer work for me. And the North Node amplifies this, the process. So when Mars hits the North Node is the body, right? Mars affects the bodies. The body pushes something forward. So this could be maybe you've had a health thing come up, digestive issues, headaches, some kind of pain. And this is Mars wanting to push that out, right? Because it's stored emotions want to move out. And this is where a cycle completes, a karmic cycle completes. And then March 13th is Lucifer conjunct the South Node in gate 40. So the theme here is the karma of false authority surfaces. So Lucifer, to look at as a symbol, exposes where the mind and the ego became the authority instead of truth. Instead of the frequency of truth, the mind and the ego became your authority. So with the South Node, right, the South Node here, this is old, like you can smell the mothballs on it, right? This is old patterns. So this could come with an ego death, ego identity, some kind of identity that you've outgrown. Perfectionism, because it's in Virgo too. So the perfectionism, dissolving, obsession with control, wanting to control everything, breaking down. And this is the shadow clearing before the reset with this new moon. So it has to do with the 40 is the gate of deliverance. This is about working, earning, right? Not just money, earning support, emotional support, earning love, right? Earning love. So this is the exchange between work and contribution in your relationships, rest and nourishment, giving and receiving, right? A healthy tribe works when the contract's balanced. When it becomes exploitive or manipulative, that's what Lucifer shows. The gate 40 says, I'm pulling back, right? I'm pulling back my energy. I'm no longer giving my energy to this dynamic. And then it's line 4. It's line 4. So that adds, your friendships, not just your romantic partner or your marriage partner. Friendships, business partners, bonds, loyalty, your family, right? So this asks a deeper question, the 40.4, which is this relationship or community still built on mutual respect? Do I feel respected in this agreement? And if the answer is yes, then the bond strengthens. If the answer is no, the heart withdraws while still caring for the person. Now it's on the South Node, so it's going to be a lot about letting go, right? Not about recommitment. It's about letting go. So this is the nuance, right? Your heart can withdraw from the connection, but you can still care for that person. You don't need to lob bombs at them and hate them and make them the enemy, right? It's just like the energy's not there. The glue's not there. That emotional glue is not there any longer for you. And I can't make it come back. You can't make that come back. It's just energy. So this isn't about burning a bridge, right? It's just about the way you participate changes. So at the collective level, if we look at the collective with Lucifer conjunct South Node and Gate 40, about the institutions, people are asking, right? Are these institutions still serving the tribe, our group, right? These authority figures, are they still serving the group? Are these agreements still fair, right? This would be like I pay taxes to this institution. I give my energy to this institution, and is it still fair? Is this agreement still fair? People en masse are asking that question. Is my loyalty still deserved? Is my loyalty to this institution still deserved? Is my loyalty to my country still deserved? That's the question on the table right now. If the answer is no, people don't revolt, right? Immediately. They don't revolt immediately, but they withdraw. That's what this is saying. They withdraw their trust. And we're seeing that, right? And this is the beginning of the renegotiation of the social contract. So this is the breakdown of the social contract. So is this agreement still honorable? Right? If the answer is no, the heart does something very powerful. Gate 40 comes off the heart, the willpower center, the heart. It doesn't destroy the other person. It simply withdraws participation. Like I'm not engaging in this any longer, right? That's deliverance. It's the gate of 40 is deliverance. Not through force, but refusal to cooperate with what violates my spirit, right? And then if we go down to March 15th, Jupiter moves into gate 53. That was yesterday. This is the gate of beginnings. I talked about it in my last video. This is cycles starting. So Jupiter moved from provocation, right? Provocation, experience tribal tension with your relationships, karmic cleansing, clearing, and then the new ignition, new cycle starts. Maybe you're not even aware of it. Maybe your mind hasn't caught up yet, right? The mind's not so smart, but the body knows, your soul knows. You've moved on a new cycle. And then comes the spiritual reset. And this is March 18th. New moon in gate 25. Can you believe gate 25 again? Right? The number that just will not go away. And this is because Neptune, remember Neptune and Saturn moved into gate 25. This is the great reset that happened. Neptune and Saturn conjunct Aries, but they were in the 25th gate. So 25 here, this is the spirit in its pure state. Not strategy, not manipulation, not trying to control outcomes, and it's in line 1, which is foundational. So the new cycle is not built on information or systems. It's built on alignment. It's alignment with yourself, with your ego. No, your authentic self. Ideally, you want to be in alignment with your authentic self. So this is innocence, right? And so I'll go a little bit more into this, but I've already talked about this gate quite a bit in my other videos. And you've got the 25 and the 51, Venus in the 51. This is the channel of initiation. This is very, very powerful. So to me, this is saying that there's really an opportunity for you to move into another timeline, right? To move into a whole new life that's aligned with your soul purpose, with your authentic self. And this is the only, these are all tribal. From the heart, the willpower center, they're all tribal. These gates. This is the only one that is individual, right? That's individual, like because you're jumping into the self. So it's to me, it's the 51 is awakening. It's the city of awakening. It's about shocking you, right? Experience some kind of shock in your life and shocking you into your authenticity. This is, by the way, is my culture, my soul tribe, our 51. 51 is who I attract. That's my gift in the soul tribe, is this is shocking people awake, disturbing their neural pathways in a sense and their habitual thinking, right? So this is very, very powerful to have during this new moon. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on in the world and bring this into context, because I don't like to spiritual leapfrog, right? So it can feel like our world is on fire right now because we're seeing the collapse. We're seeing a collapse of these old structures. So a lot of people can feel powerless, right? A lot of people can feel that. That's normal. They look at these corrupt systems and think there's nothing I can do to change this, right? They're blatant now in how they don't really care about the public. They used to be able to lie about it. Now it's very clear that the public, society, the masses are not their first priority. Their first priority is money, right? Money and power. And we saw that, like one of the top officials, the Attorney General of the USA, when asked about harming the innocent, right? Harming the innocent and exploiting the innocent and the powerless. Well, what about your 401k? What about the Dow? What about the stocks? If we investigated these people, the whole economy would collapse, right? Would collapse. Very, very blatant. So you may think, well, who's going to come in and deal with any of this, right? So the powerlessness can come up. Right? So this is where people can tolerate. They desensitize themselves and then they tolerate things that they know are wrong. Think of all the people that were involved if we talk about the childhood trafficking. All the people that were involved, not just the abusers and the exploited, but the people around, hotel staff, transportation staff, right? They all have seen this and they look away. And you're hearing that from celebrities and politicians. It's like, oh, we knew what was going on. Well, why didn't you do anything? Right? That should be the next question. It's like, no, you look away because you don't want to disturb your comfort, right? So I'm not like putting you in a doom state. I'm going to explain how this all happened in a sense, right? So we're looking at it symbolically. So this dynamic is not new where people can feel powerless, right? It's actually similar. If you look at, like, bring it to a microcosm, like an abusive relationship between a husband and a wife, right? The abusive husband never, ever expects the abused wife to stand up to him because then the whole dynamic, right? The whole dynamic depends on her believing she has no power until one day something shifts. Maybe it's a big surprise to him. And often it's not anger. It's not this anger, outrage that causes the shift. What causes it? Innocence. This is this gate 25. Innocence causes it. Right? Maybe she sees her young daughter and what her young daughter is being exposed to, right? And what she's learning about relationships, right? Or maybe she remembers who she used to be before the abuse began. Something in her inside her says, this is not right. This is not right. And at that moment, the spell breaks, right? So it comes from innocence. And the power dynamic changes instantly because the belief that she is powerless collapses. The spell breaks. That's the energy of gate 25, is innocence. It's not naive innocence, but it's the moment the heart remembers. Your heart remembers what's true. And that you can no longer cooperate with corruption. You know that old saying, you lie down with dogs, you get fleas, right? It's like when you lie down with this corruption, you'll end up corrupted. The heart knows this. So this is part of what we're seeing with the collective right now. The shadow is surfacing because humanity is forced to see what happens when we give our power away. We're all part of this dynamic. We've all contributed to this dynamic. Maybe not you personally, but your ancestors and before that and before that and before that, right? So the shadow is coming up so that we can see where we've given up our power. And what happens? What happens to the world when we give our power away? So the purpose of this revelation isn't despair, it's about awakening. It's all about awakening, and you need to remember that. Because once innocence wakes up, once our innocence wakes up, the system that depended on us, right, being unconscious, can no longer operate the same way. Right? So this fits with the greater theme that I've been going on and on and on and on about, and more on and on and on about, is about reclaiming your inner authority instead of outsourcing your power. And this is the big lesson this year as we enter the sleeping phoenix. You giving away your power is not going to be supported any longer, right? So you want to see the shadows that are coming up. You don't want to look away. You don't want to look away, because this is part of the integration, is that we need to see the shadows without bypassing it, right? And a lot of spiritual spaces and other teachers will say, love and light, love and light. Don't focus on that. Don't dwell on that, right? Love and light. But when that shadow is ignored, this is you giving your power away. It doesn't disappear. The shadow doesn't disappear. Just because you say it's not there doesn't mean it disappears. It simply goes underground, and that's what has happened, right? And it starts running the system behind the scenes. So that shadow starts running you at an unconscious level. It doesn't go away, so that will not work. You've got to face your shadow and integrate it, right? So this hidden forces that are beneath the surface, and now they've always been there, right? And now they're surfacing. Now we're starting to see them because we're going through an awakening. So when people stop trusting their own discernment, right? When you or people stop trusting their own discernment and give their authority away, a pattern begins to form. So first power concentrates, right? This is like if you stop deciding what's true for yourself, you start looking for someone else to decide. If you're not making your decisions, then you look to someone else to make your decisions for you. And this is how centralized power forms. This is how hierarchies harden in the cross of planning. And the more authority people surrender their power, the stronger the structures become. Right? The more people that give their authority over, the stronger these structures have become. And second, the corruption becomes inevitable. And not because everybody in power is evil, but because systems begin protecting themselves, right? It's all about the survival of the system, reputation of the system, stability of the system, profiting from the system. And truth becomes secondary. And that's where the rot begins beneath the surface. And then people start to lose contact with their intuition. When authority lives outside of you, the inner compass starts to weaken. And people begin looking outside of themselves for permission, truth, right? Validation. And slowly the body stops being trusted. You stop trusting your body. And eventually the shadow surfaces because it can't stay hidden forever. And now it's surfacing. So eventually the cracks appear. Corruption becomes visible. Check. Institutions lose their legitimacy. Check. Things that were hidden come into the light. Check. And this moment that we're in now can feel chaotic, right? But it's a turning point in consciousness. So you need to look at the shadow, and this is what it means to be a spiritual adult. that human beings are both capable of great beauty and horrible corruption, right? So seeing that clearly doesn't make you cynical. This is discernment. You're bringing back your discernment. So the real shift begins when people stop outsourcing authority. So instead of asking and blaming and railing your hands against the mirror, who will fix this? Who's going to come and fix this? Bring it back to you. What do I know to be true? Right? What does my body feel like when I know things are true? Where is my responsibility? And this is when the inner authority starts to wake up. Just with that one question, what do I know is true? And am I acting from that place? So the shadow is not appearing just to destroy. Yes, it brings destructive energy with it. It reveals what happens to humanity when we forget our sovereignty, when we forget our power. And when you start to see that, when people start to see that clearly, humanity starts to remember, right, their true nature. So this is what's happening now. Okay, so let's go into the spiritual war, because we hear a lot from religions and spiritual communities. We're in a spiritual war, blah, blah, blah. And it's true. It's totally true. But I want to reframe this for you. So let's look at demon as an acronym, right? Demon. Demons and angels. The great battle of good and evil. Well, demon, what does it stand for? Disconnected ego masking original nature. Disconnected ego masking original nature. So a demon's not a creature. It's a piece of consciousness that believes that it's separate from the divine and begins acting from that illusion. Now, what happens with our mind, how our mind works, our mind takes energy. It needs to create a form. It needs to create some kind of form to understand. It's just what the mind does, right? And then look at the counterpart, angel. Aligned nature guided by embodied love, right? So again, this is like taking the form of an angel, but it's just a consciousness. It's a piece of consciousness that is in unity. Right? Unity, separation. That's the war right here. So the polarity is the demon believes in separation, and the angel is the consciousness that remembers its source. And we have both. We have both these energies within us. But we can see we're making choices, right? Making choices day by day, moment by moment. So the real work is in fighting demons. You don't street fight demons, right? You're not going to win. It's removing the illusion of separation. So the Piscean hypnosis that we've been in since the Piscean age is breaking, right? As we move into the Aquarian age, and people need to return to their real self. So when people feel cut off from the source of life, they try to replace this connection. That's just what the psyche does with something else, like an identity, an ideology, a tribe, a group, power, maybe partnering with someone you believe has power in the world, having mental certainty, intellectual superiority. Those are kind of some examples. And when these things become absolute, the shadow becomes extreme. And history has shown us that over and over and over again. So the real demonic state in human consciousness isn't horns and monsters. It's the moment when empathy shuts down and other humans stop being seen as human. Right? So when empathy shuts down and other humans stop being seen as human. So this is the human potential without awareness is this, right? This demonic consciousness. And when this sense of separation dominates, people can justify almost anything because the other person's not experienced as part of the same field of life. This is dehumanizing others, right? So this is why many traditions, spiritual traditions, have come up with the same version of truth, which is the other person is you. The golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? Recognize the other person is you. That's one of the sutras of the Aquarian age. So when that recognition disappears, like, no, that other person isn't me, they're the enemy. They're coming to harm me. This is shadow projection 101. And that's what war is group shadow, projecting on group shadow. When this recognition disappears that, oh, this is my brother in consciousness, my sister in consciousness, then cruelty, horrible cruelty becomes possible. And when it returns, though, when the truth that we're all connected, we're all one, then compassion becomes possible. So the demon versus angel language, this is a consciousness model. Let's look at it that way. Let's elevate it up. It's not a supernatural one, right? So disconnected, ego masking your original nature. It's a rogue piece of consciousness that believes it's separate, right, from the divine. Look at it like the ocean. The ocean is the divine, right, the source. And then you've got a wave, right? Wave's part of the ocean. Do you ever see a wave hitchhiking down the highway? I've never seen it yet. Maybe you have. This is like the demon, believes that it's separate. So both potentials live within the human being, right? And it's all about choices. That's our free will. We're constantly making choices. The demon is fear, right? It's fear, making our choices from fear. The angel is making choices from love, not Hallmark, cross the planning love, right? Like true love, divine love here. So moments of global stress that we're in right now and great transition amplify these extremes. This is what we're seeing, this the bifurcation of consciousness is becoming more and more extreme. People are choosing one or the other. In some people, the irony is like maybe they're a diehard Christian, Bible thumper, right? Fire and brimstone. And they do not believe that they're in this realm, right? But they're choosing that. So you can't look at it like on the surface, religious, from a religious point of view. But people are making their choices. So someone very, very religious could be walking down this path, disconnected ego masking original nature, right? And somebody that's you would never see as spiritual is actually this, walking down this path. So we're going to see this more and more and more, this split. So some people contract into fear and separation. That's the demon, right? Others deepen into awareness and responsibility. So this is why the emphasis on inner work, right, is so key right now. It's not about escaping the world. It's about stabilizing your consciousness, right? So that you don't unconsciously act out darker potentials or project your darker potential on others, your shadow, right? So historically, this is what happens, right? Periods feel like a collapse, like the world is ending. It feels like a collapse, but it turned out to be a threshold. Whenever we go through great change, humanity goes into fear, right? So this is humanity will be reborn for the cross of the sleeping phoenix. So you don't want to you don't want to deny your shadow. It's not about denying your shadow. It's about having faith in transformation right now, right? Our consciousness is being reborn as a humanity. So have faith in that. Okay, so let's go back to the new moon in the 25th gate here. Just have the chart. And be sure to let us know if you have this natally, the 25. And it's also a lock. I won't go down that road today, but I want to keep my focus on the new moon. So innocence. So this is about the return back to the original heart. Not naive innocence, but the state where consciousness is no longer distorted by ideology, identity, or projection. So this is the consciousness before you were born and took on a name, took on an identity, right? So this is the frequency of I will not abandon the heart. Even when the world becomes extreme, I will not abandon my heart and my truth. In my truth. So you have to make that commitment to yourself because you will be tested. We're all going to be tested on this. And line 1 is, what ground do I stand on? What do I stand for? What's my line in the sand? Right? My line in the sand is listening to conversations about the dehumanization of groups of people. My body reacts to that. It does. My body reacts to it. My body is showing me the truth, that this energy is not aligned with my authenticity. My body is protecting my authentic frequency. I've learned that this year and last year. Right? So what's your line in the sand? What's the line in the sand that you will not tolerate? Right? And you want to establish this before you act in the world so that you're not reacting, you're not convincing, you're standing in the truth of your heart, Okay. So, I want to talk about my dream, and it fits with this. So I had a dream back when I lived in Sedona. I had like crazy magical dreams in Sedona. This one in particular I remember. And I was on an airplane. And there were a group of us. There must have been about 10 or 11 people. And we were all sitting against a wall. And it felt like a military plane that we were in. And so these two military people come in, and they're holding this man. They're holding this young man by one's got one arm, the other's got the other arm, and you can see like he was kind of crazy, and he was trying to get away, but he wanted to get at us. That's what it felt like. He wanted to get at us that were lined up against the wall. And so they placed him before the first person, so I could see this happening down the row. And what he was doing is he was pulling the essence of the person against the wall into him. So he had some kind of spiritual gift where he could pull the essence right out of the other person. So I'm watching this one by one. He's doing this, and then he gets to me, right? So they bring him down to my head level so that he could look into my eyes, and I could feel my essence being pulled. I could feel myself being pulled away from my body. And I closed my eyes and I said, I am the light of God. I am the light of God. I am the light of God. I said this 3 times, and I opened my eyes and everything turned white. Right? Everything just completely disappeared. And I feel like this definitely connects with the 25th gate. I was meditating on this. This is the power of the spirit that can't be corrupted. Right? This is claiming your identity as the light of God. This is truth. Right? And not because it fights darkness. I didn't have to fight that. entity, whatever that was, in the dream or vision. It felt very, very real, like more like I was in the astral plane. It's because you remember what you are. I remembered who I was in that moment. I didn't have to fight anything, right? So the demon appears because it's a symbol of separation or something trying to take my essence, right? I didn't fight back. I didn't argue. I didn't attack. I just remembered who I was, and the entire field turns white. The shadow dissolves, right? So this fits with the demon, right? Disconnected ego masking your original nature. So the dream, the demon in the dream only has power while the illusion of separation is active. So the moment you remember that you're not separate from the divine, then the entire field can reset, right? So this is the gate 25. It means uncorrupted connection to spirit, right? This is what it means to claim your innocence. So in terms of the 25, this isn't about loving you, because you hear this from New Age people too. You got to love the demon, right? No, you don't fight the demon. You don't love the demon. What you do is you remember who you are, right? That's how you dissolve the demons. You remember who you are. So when people say love the darkness, it can get misunderstood. Well, just love the darkness. You just need to love it, right? This can be misunderstood as tolerating harm, manipulation, or abuse. And that's not what real compassion is, right? Loving the innocence within yourself that can't be corrupted. That's what compassion means, right? So this is the part of you that's not naive. It's not weakness. It's your dignity. It's the part of you that remembers your dignity, your connection to the divine, and your clarity of what's right and wrong for you. So when that innocence is present, you don't have to battle shadows constantly and not on the external. You simply stop cooperating with them, the shadows, right? So the real work now for us, for you, in this world that's dissolving and the shadows are emerging, is to stay rooted in your own clarity. Stay rooted in your own clarity. Refuse to abandon your heart. Don't participate in harmful dynamics, right? And stay true to your truth. Align with your truth. You know what's right or wrong. You don't need somebody to come and tell you what's right or wrong. You know. Your being knows, right? And sometimes that means making uncomfortable decisions, right? And choices. Well, you can't travel if you don't do this. And some people are like, okay, I did it because I wanted to visit grandma. I wanted to visit my family. And this is them outsourcing their power, not checking in with themselves. Is this correct for me or not? Well, I guess it's not correct for me, so I guess I'm not going to go traveling, right? That's like an example of what was going down in 2020. And something more is going down too in March 28th, but that's another video. Just keep that in mind. March 28th, something's going to come through the collective. Right? So this is self-respecting love. Self-respecting love. You want to respect yourself, not self-sacrificing. That's the cross of planning. That's the demon. Self-sacrificing. Well, I had to do it because of grandma. Grandma would die. Grandma would be hurt. Right? The demon energy feeds on separation, control, or distortion of the truth. Distortion of the truth. The angel remembers unity, remembers integrity. So you don't defeat the distortion by trying to rescue it, right? You dissolve its influence standing firmly in what you know is true. That's a 25.1, right? So this is not rescuing people. This is this. That's the distortion of the truth. Well, to love someone means that I have to rescue them. I have to enable them, right? I have to protect them from the consequences of their choice, right? This is trying to save someone, right? This is this energy. And it's, do you see how this is distortion? Well, this is what love means, is to sacrifice yourself. No, it doesn't. This is remembering that you're all one. Even that person you're trying to save is connected to their own source of love, right? Their own beingness, but they're not making good choices. They're choosing this. Does this mean you got to get in there with them in this? No, you stay in this energy. You stay, if that person's deep in the well, in the pits of their addictions or what, or harmful things they're doing to themselves and others, you stay on top of the well. You stay up here as the light, right, in this frequency, and let them do their work. They have to choose this. You see? So you don't want to be entangled, right? You don't want to be entangled with other people with this rescuing. And I really feel like my fractal has been indulging in this and thinking that it's love, and it's not, right? This is you staying here aligned with your truth, with your heart open, right? Does it mean that you're closed off? Because the demon will say, you used to help me and you used to be open-hearted and you never used to be so cruel and mean. When you're in this, the frequency of love, don't get caught up in the distortion of this energy, right? Running, rescuing, and saving people is this. You're disconnected, and you believe that, oh, the divine is powerless and can't heal, right? That's what does all the healing, is the divine. So you stay in your frequency of this, of unity, with your heart open, right? Reminding this person, maybe that's bad, like coming at you, reacting to you because you're choosing self-love now, you're choosing self-respect. You remind them of them. You're not this. Right? This is the illusion that you're in, that you're separate from the divine, right? You see what I'm saying? So this is like you start coming more into integrity. That's the best thing you can do for anybody, is to stay in your integrity. So let's look at your nervous system just for some practical guidance. When you're confronted with the shadow of the world, right? What can I do what happens to your nervous system? You want to bring it back to your body, right? Well, fear and collapse. Fear and collapse can happen with the nervous system, and this is like the belief is everything is evil, there's nothing I can do. Rage or polarization, those people are the enemy, or spiritual bypass. Love and light, right? Throw some fairy dust on it, ignore it. None of this actually helps you to grow, right? So what you want to do is no denial, right? What's happening? You're seeing both things at the same time. Humanity is capable of extraordinary beauty and extraordinary cruelty at the same time. And discerning, right? So if people refuse to see the shadow, they become naive. And if they become obsessed with it, they become cynical. So the middle path, and that's the discernment. Bring authenticity back to the body, right? What does it feel like? Check in with your body right now. What do you feel in your body when you hear this, right? So use this for discernment. When somebody's talking to you or you're listening to something online, right? What does my body feel like when I hear this? Does this resonate as truth or manipulation? And what does my intuition say? right? Refuse the dehumanization trap of seeing others as separate from you. Focus on your own personal integrity, right? So this is like, don't go into the question of like, how do I fix the world? No, it's like, how can I be honest? How can I be more honest in my life? How can I refuse corruption in my own life? And will I act in integrity, even when nobody else around me is acting in integrity? Right? Everybody around me is doing horrible, corrupt things. Can I still maintain my integrity? Right? Can I be in my integrity when no one's watching? And remember your innocence. And remember your innocence. So those are some things that you can do that are empowering. And remember that you can come to the online retreat on March 20th. Look at that date. The day, the equinox, when the sun moves into Aries and all the planets are in Aries. And this is about claiming your inner authority so that your soul can move through the world, right? You want to learn how your soul can move through the world. And this inner authority, this inner masculine architecture needs to be built. And this is new, right? New inner structure of the human being. And this is your inner masculine energy. I'll talk a little bit about the masculine and the feminine energy after the fractal and twin flame reading. So stick around for that. And this would be a good time for you to put this video on pause, take a few deep breaths, and then come back. And this is where we ground the energy of what I've been talking about. Okay, so fractal read, is this it? Yes, here's a fractal read. So fractal read, so people can see this at the bottom of the fractal read. What's the shadow being exposed? Well, the King of Pentacles here. So this is about external authority, right? So the king appears stable, successful, knowledgeable, powerful, right? Looks really good on paper, this guy, right? Cross of planning, he's the master of the cross of planning world. So in shadow, because we're looking at it in shadow, this is becomes the authority figure whose power people trust more than their own inner knowing. This is your shadow that's coming up. This is the institutions, the experts, the dominant personalities, right? Financial or social power. This is your karmic husband. This is your karmic partners, karmic people in your life. They know better than you, right? But the deeper shadow is not the king. It's not about the king. It's not about the king. This is about you and your willingness to surrender your authority over to this king, right? And people sense, you can sense that there's something wrong in your body, but you keep overriding it. Maybe you've been in this pattern for quite a long time. You keep overriding the body. The body's like, no, there's something off about this. So you begin negotiating, right? That's this ego card. You begin to negotiate, right? Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe they know better, right? They've got so much money. Everybody respects them in the world. Maybe I'm wrong. That's the moment this ego strategy begins here, right? And the great thing are the masks are coming off. Masks are coming off, people. We're getting to see who they really are, and this is such a blessing. People like this King of Pentacles and Shadow, they can't trick people anymore. They can't deceive and manipulate, right? Shadows are surfacing. So don't look away if you're seeing the shadow of the King of Pentacles in your life. No, there's something off. What he's saying isn't true anymore. I'm not giving my power over to him. I'm not letting him decide what the narrative is and what decisions I should be making, and more making decisions for me. The awakening, Six of Wands reversed. So the Six of Wands is addiction to validation, of needing validation. This is about abandoning your uniqueness, right? To stay accepted by the group. Because you got groupthink, and I don't think I heard that right. This is like the gaslighting yourself card, and then the groupthink card. These are ego strategies, right? So this is approval seeking, not wanting to stand alone, always needing to be in a group of people. And this is where gaslighting becomes collective, right? People know something feels wrong, but they silence themselves because the crowd is applauding the king, the shadow king, right? So this could be your community is applauding this king. He has so much power in my community. Well, there must be something wrong with me because I'm not seeing that, but everybody else around me is seeing it, so I must be wrong, right? So will you trust your own inner knowing? Six of Wands reverse says, will you trust your inner knowing, right? Even if the crowd disagrees with you. And this is where your inner masculine starts to ignite, right? This is when your inner authority starts to ignite. Can I trust my inner knowing? Can I trust my intuition? Even if the crowd is applauding for this fake ass masculine that's pretending he has all the power, right? Can I do this? Because the masks are coming off, right? So the healthy masculine, the healthy inner masculine doesn't need applause, doesn't need validation. I know what's true. I stand in my truth. The new movement is the Eight of Wands. So once authority returns back to you, energy starts to move again. This is your vitality starts to come back. You start to communicate. You no longer silence yourself. Your creativity comes back, right? Eight of Wands is very creative. You start to move. There's momentum. There's clarity. This is spring equinox energy. The fire starts to come back, right? There's clarity between your intuition and your action. And your action, they're aligned, right? You're not second guessing yourself. This King of Pentacles in your life reversed does not care about your soul purpose. King of Pentacles reversed wants you in a role and wants you to have him up on a pedestal, right? And it's like, no, you're not doing that anymore. You're moving forward and everything starts to move for you because you're in alignment with your soul. Right? So no more second guessing, no more negotiating your truth, and your system is unified, one pointed. And the feminine receives the signal. Your feminine nature receives the signal, and then the masculine acts on it, like your energies inside. And so this things start moving quickly because the internal conflict is gone, right? So the real shadow right now is not about, for my fractal, for you listening, it's not really about, corruption itself. It's this self-gaslighting. That's how you are in your corruption. Your own internal corruption is you're gaslighting your intuition. So the moment you start doubting your own perception, you surrender your authority, right? So that's step one, is now I honor my own perception. I'm not doubting it anymore. That's that demon energy that tries to get back on, is doubt. That's what the demon energy does, is doubt. Doubts in your connection to source, right? Okay. right? So the shadow here is that it's not about that you don't know the truth. You know the truth. The shadow is about you gaslighting yourself or negotiating with something that you already know and looking for validation from this King of Pentacles reversed, right? Do you think I'm right? Do you think, right? And the King of Pentacles reversed wants you in the story of worshiping him as an authority, not your own inner authority. And anybody in your life right now that's trying to make decisions from you, that's bullying you, that says that I know better than you, give them the heave-ho. Give them the heave-ho. It's the people that are pointing you back to your own inner authority. Those are the ones that you want to be around, right? And certainly if you choose a teacher, the teacher has to be pointing you back to your inner authority. So no more outsourcing and no more listening to the group think. And this has to do, King of Pentacles reverse, maybe something about the purse strings too. And that's where we get tested, when money and security come in. Okay. So let's go to the Twin Flame card. And so I chose the Light Seer deck. My intuition was really strong about using this deck, which I haven't used in a while. So the Twin Flame path is a mirror path, remember? And it's a path to self-sovereignty. So the Ten of Pentacles, what's the mirror? So twin flames are all about mirrors. The most powerful mirror you will ever meet is your twin flame. And some people love it. They're drawn to that reflection, right? They're drawn to the reflection. Those are the ones that are chasing the reflection. And then there's others that run from the reflection. They're scared of what they see in that reflection, right? So they're going to see their greatness of their soul, but they're also going to see their shadow work that they haven't looked at, right? So running away from the mirror doesn't help, and then chasing the mirror doesn't help. It's all about taking that reflection back inside. So what's the mirror being revealed in the twin flame connection in my fractal? Well, this is long term. This is the happy ever after card, but it's 10 of Pentacles, right? So this is like union, it's legacy. It's about the soul family. It's about the vision of life that could exist, right? That could exist. It's a potential of what life could exist. So this is being mirrored to the twins, the sense of a shared purpose, right? Sharing a purpose together, a soul purpose together. It's stability. It's stability. And this is why these connections are so powerful, because it goes so deep, right? This person could be my person. This person could be my divine counterpart that I've been seeking, right? All of my life right here. But this mirror, this is just a mirror, right? Right here is showing the possibility of union, but it's not revealing what it takes to get here. This isn't just handed to you, not in this world, right? The Ten of Pentacles shows the soul blueprint, the life path that becomes possible when both people are fully sovereign, right? These two are fully sovereign, whole unto themselves. So the sovereignty lesson is the star reversed and the Four of Cups right there. So this is the wound, right? This is the loss of hope. This is spiritual disconnect, right? If it's upright, it's spiritual connection. This is spiritual disconnection. Feeling abandoned by the divine. Believing love may not be safe, like real love. Not transactional love, karmic love, but real love, real divine love is not safe, right? And then this is like emotional withdrawal, the Four of Cups, right? This is the heart closes because the nervous system is protecting itself. Because this comes from childhood, to receive love. What did it mean for you to receive love as a child? Maybe it came with abuse. Maybe it came with big strings attached. Maybe it came with chaos and trauma, right? So when real love comes again, right, this is your nervous system, your old patterns appear. So this is where the ego card is lash out, and this is about anger, right? So this is when feel like something's getting too close. If you feel like someone is getting too close, you'll find something, anything to justify pushing it away. It's a survival mechanism. So this is an ego protection. What the ego is doing is protecting for that, right? Protecting that wound that has to come up. That has to come up. The wound, the thing with the twin flames is the wound. A lot of people, the ego will say, well, I just feel this way around this person. This person brings up, I feel really uncomfortable. I don't feel good about myself, right? All this stuff, I feel so old, comes up when I'm around this person. But when I'm running around with my karmic or my false fractal, I don't feel that. I don't feel uncomfortable. Does that mean it goes away? No, it gets buried. It gets buried with the others, because that's the nature of the twin flame connection, is that has to come up. That's already inside you. It's already inside you. So that's the healing potential there. Right? So the ego protection is getting angry, right? Angry at the twin flame, right? Anger that you're thinking about them and why doesn't this go away? There can be the silence, right? The distance. Not because love isn't there. You can pretend that love isn't there. It doesn't mean that love's not there. Because love feels too exposing, right? It's the love that exposes the wounding. That's what's happening with the twin flame connection, is all that love exposes the wound, right? So the ego strategy is, if I push them out of my psyche, if I push them push them away, right, then I won't be hurt, right? I won't be hurt. But all that does is prolong the healing that needs to be done in this lifetime, right? So love exposes the wounds, right? Real divine love exposes the wounds. So the evolution of the connection, the Page of Swords, and the Two of Cups. So this is about you watching, that you're beginning to see the pattern. Maybe you're already aware of this pattern of like, oh, I lash out and I get angry and I push people away. I reject people because I fear being rejected, right? Like maybe you're seeing those patterns. Asking yourself, why do I react this way? And that's the awareness, is the turning point. Because once you see the pattern, the reaction becomes a choice instead of a reflex, right? Once you see the pattern, it becomes a choice. I'm choosing to be angry, right? I'm choosing to be silent, right? Instead of just reaction. That's the unconscious pattern. So the Two of Cups is mutual recognition, right? So this is two people meeting each other honestly, not from projection, not projecting things onto the other, not from fear, but from emotional equality, right? So this fits perfectly, right, with this. The anger creates distance. So anger's the shield, then it creates distance, and then silence creates control. But underneath this, what's the fear? Is being seen, right? Is fully being seen as you, right? That's the greatest fear. Is like, oh, remember I talked about this in the last video. Hiding from your twin flame is like you're in a glass house and you've got glass furniture, and right, and you're trying to hide behind the glass couch. You're trying to hide in the glass closet. And the twin is like, what are you doing? I can see you, right? What are you doing? This is this vulnerability of being seen. And there's a fear of being seen, especially if you're one that's used to hiding and that's been your default strategy, right? I'm just going to hide and stay under the radar this lifetime. Okay. So the connection, it's saying, right, these cards, just to look at them from a broader perspective, they're really saying the connection itself is not the problem. It's the mirror is showing you where the heart learned that love might disappear, that love can be taken away, that vulnerability could lead to pain, that distance feels safer. Being distant feels safer than exposure, exposing yourself, showing yourself. So the sovereignty path is not about forcing union. It's never, with the twin flame connection, it's never about forcing outcomes. It's about healing the reaction to intimacy, right? And this is a major word for the cross of the sleeping phoenix, is intimacy, and that's that 59th gate, right? So once the defensive pattern softens, right? When you look at this in truth, where do I lash out? And it's not even you, it's your ego. It's a protective mechanism, right? It goes from star reversed to the Four of Cups into the Page of Swords and then the Two of Cups. So from protection to conscious relationship right here. Okay. So the twin flame mirror doesn't break us. It's not about breaking you. It simply reveals where the heart learned to protect itself from love. So if you've met your twin flame, right, see this as an amazing blessing in your life, because the mirror is being shown to you, right? So that you can see something that no one else can show you, right? So powerfully. So don't run from it. Don't run from the mirror. Take what you're learning from the mirror, right? And take it in and do that integration work. Yeah. Okay. So there's the twin flame. And let me know if you enjoy these readings. So as we move through into this new moon and these powerful transits, a lot of what's coming to the surface right now is the question of authority, isn't it? Who do I listen to? The noise of the world, the collective, or the truth in my own body? So for many of us, especially those on the spiritual path, the real work now is rebuilding the inner architecture that can hold our intuition. The feminine energy receives and the masculine energy protects what is received. So without a healthy inner masculine, intuition gets overridden by fear, by other people's opinions, or by collective pressure that's only going to increase. So if this video, this transmission resonated with you, this is exactly what the kind of stuff we'll be working on in this upcoming retreat and going back to the origins of this authority issue. So for days, for the weekend from March 20th to the 22nd, and then a support meditation the following Wednesday, and then an integration meditation at the end, we'll begin claiming your inner authority, igniting the inner masculine. So this retreat is about restoring the part of you that can hold your truth, stand in your integrity, set energetic boundaries, and protect the wisdom of your own heart so that your feminine intuition doesn't have to fight to be heard anymore, doesn't have to be fight to be visible or hiding anymore. So if you called to do this work, the information is below the video. So just a reminder, you can follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and then YouTube, where I post daily on the transits. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Sat Nam Aloha.